When the grass grows brittle and termites fly to start new colonies, daytime fireflies in the afternoon light, we know summer has arrived. There's a stillness and heaviness to the air before the incessant hum of cicadas begins. The chickens make the most of the free protein, whilst we try and get as much done around the homestead before the days become too hot to venture outside.
So this is our transformed chicken coop. What we've done is we've just removed the whole side panel here that faces the north. And so far so good. The chickens are still using the perches and the nesting boxes. And we wanted to try something quite minimal. This only took Troy 20 minutes or so to take down, just to see if we could get on top of the bird mite problem. I brought it up in a previous video. We just had an explosion of bird mites in here over spring, and a lot of you wrote in with some really great suggestions and comments. A lot of you said just burn it down and start again. We thought we should try and make the use of what we have. It's also not our property. We didn't build this coop, and I know that the owners did build it, so we thought we'd just try and make a modification to it so we could keep it in place and see if we could get on top of the bird mite problem. What's been really great about having the north side open is that it was getting a lot of sunlight during spring. It's starting to get a little bit less now, so there's a lot of UV coming in here, really great airflow, a lot lower humidity, and so it just wasn't the right environment for those bird mites to keep breeding. And I know a lot of them were breeding along this panel here, this shut off panel here, so the sun was hitting it. It's quite warm, and when we took the panel away there was like bird mites all through here, just swarms of them in the perch, off the perches here. So they haven't been able to breed in that spot anymore, and the spots where they were breeding we can access now and put sulphur, diatomaceous earth, and also Troy went around a few times just when we were trying to get on top of the massive population. He went around with the big gas torch, and just flamed all of the wood and all the nooks and crannies where I'd noticed where they'd been breeding, and we seem to have gotten on top of them. I'm finding a few in the nesting boxes. They're just, you know, with the nooks and crannies we haven't been able to get every single one, but it's really only a few, and we don't have any broody hens sitting in there anymore, exacerbating the problem, because there was just constant food for them while there was a broody hen sitting there. So I think we're on top of the population for now. We'll see what happens next spring, but I'm really happy with how this worked out for our chickens. It turns out that our hens that went broody in this coop, it didn't work out for them, but we had some chickens that decided to go broody in the goat enclosure. There's a section where we used to keep the kids, a little stall inside the goat enclosure. We used to keep the kids when we were milking our girls, and they decided to go broody in there. So we had one chicken sitting on 3 eggs, and she hatched all 3, but 2 survived. I think 1 got taken by a hawk. And then we had another 2 chickens sitting on cluster eggs at the same time, and one bird was sitting on them earlier, and they kind of ended up both ended up like sort of jumping on the older clutch. So they ended up being mother to 3 birds, and they have been running around mothering those 3 little chicks. But I've just noticed that the black hen that was sitting on those eggs, she's just started to go broody again in that same spot. So yesterday I've put 5 eggs under her, and she's just gone broody again, and she's left that other grey hen to be the solo mother for those 3 chicks. So we might actually get, we've already got 5, we might get another 5. When she jumped off and started mothering with that other hen, she left 4 eggs behind, and I put them in the incubator. I said we weren't going to get involved and incubate eggs, but these were so far along, and I candled them with a torch, and I saw that they had little embryos in there, so they were only I think they're only a week away from hatching. So we put them in the incubator and hoped for the best, because they'd gone cold when I found them, the eggs, and put them in the incubator, and a week later we had the chicks all hatching within 2 days of one another, and it was really wonderful to share that with Constance. just to see the joy in her face of these little chicks hatching. It happened just after Jet passed away, so it was a really special moment to have all this new life right in front of our eyes. And another bird, she's a little bit of a loner. She came from my sister-in-law's family and Troy's niece's family. She went broody in the old dog kennel. She sat on 5 eggs, and I don't know what happened, but one of the chicks hatched way earlier than the other eggs were due. So she's ended up mothering one, and then about 4 days ago I put the eggs in the incubator, and they've just started hatching today. So 2 of the eggs have hatched, and the other 2 I can hear chirping inside, which is really wonderful too. I've been able to hold the eggs up to Constance's ear. She can hear the bird chirping inside and scratching, trying to get out. So it's been a really amazing to show her the circle of life and things like where chickens come from. You'll see now how easy it is without this panel. I can just scrape out all of the manure sitting under the perches and in other random spots in this coop. I can just scrape it out. It takes me like 2 or 3 minutes. And then actually shoveling it on the garden and spreading on the garden takes a lot longer than scooping it out here. And same for going and finding some more wood shavings. It's a lot more work for me to shovel it into the wheelbarrow than it is to just spread it here. It just takes me no more than 10 minutes actually hanging out in here and spreading it. It's not a fun job cleaning a chicken coop, so if you can do it as quick as possible, it's much better. And when I was having to go through that door, I also had to mask up and cover up because there was no ventilation. But now I feel really comfortable, especially on a breezy day like today. I feel really comfortable just cleaning it out without any mask. I did spread around some more diatomaceous earth before I added the sawdust today, and I'm going to keep my eye on the numbers. Like I said, I've seen a few, very, very few bird mites in the nesting boxes, so I might get Troy to come back with a torch and just torch the nesting boxes. I've left it open today just with the sunlight hitting in there, and they really don't like that, but I'll shut it soon because I'm pretty sure one of the mother hens with 2 chicks, she actually nests in there at night, so I'll keep it shut so it's nice and toasty for her in there. And I think that's who the bird mites are tucking into.
I harvested our garlic at the start of summer, ready to plant a block of corn. To prepare the beds, I made 2 shallow trenches that I filled with compost and worm castings. I then secured some drip irrigation line and planted a corn seed along each dripper. This year we are trying out a 3 sisters guild in this bed, planting corn first and then following up with climbing beans, pumpkins and melons. This idea, favoured by Indigenous North Americans, is that the beans use the corn stalks as a living trellis, and the squash becomes a living mulch to protect the roots of all the plants from the harsh sunshine.
Side by side we sway there in all the colors.
I'm so excited. It's finally nice, cool weather. We've just had a week of 30 degrees and I've been holding back planting my summer crops. I mean, some of them are already in the garden and I managed to get them in spring, but some of these were just little tiny seedlings in November and I wanted to get them into like proper plants before I put them in the ground. If you joined us earlier this year, you saw that we had a bit of an issue with woodlouse, which we call slater bugs here, and they do eat tiny little seedlings. So I wanted to put an established plant into the garden, and we also wanted to get the drip irrigation in, which we've done now. So what I'm planning to do with these plants is to dot them around in the garden and put them at spots where where the water is like right next to them. That way they'll be getting that direct water all through the hot summer. So we've got 2 days now of low 20s, which is just so nice and cool for us for summer, and then after that it's back to 30-degree weather plus. So what we're trying to do is I'm trying to just get everything done gardening wise now, hopefully all today, so that gives them a good today and tomorrow to get settled in before the hot weather comes the following day. They have been outside just in a shade house, so they haven't ever been exposed to the sun. So I'm actually putting the tomatoes in this kind of perennial style flower bed that we have here. A bit different to the year we put them in just in a blank bed, but we got a bit of a head start then in November, and we had a really mild December. It's already quite hot this year in December, so I think it's going to be better for them to grow with other plants looking after them with a little bit of dappled shade. A lot of these plants in the perennial bed as well, they're just starting to go to seed, but they'll get another flash of growth. So I'm thinking I'll just prune the back and use them as mulch. Things like dill, perennial leeks, some of the flowers, I think I'll just prune them and use them as mulch around our plants. I won't go too hard though, because yeah, I really want that shade as well for the plants. But the existing tomato plants that are already in the bed that I put in November, at the start of November, they're doing so well now. They're like quite big full plants. I can actually see some fruit forming on the very first lot of flowers on these tomato plants. This is just a mess in here, but I'm letting this coriander go to seed, so we have more seed to plant more next year, but also so we have seed for cooking. I just love coriander seed. I also really love eating these green berries. They haven't gone hard yet. They're really delicious. Anyway, they're the berries before it goes to seed. So I am leaving this here, but it's not taking up too much space, but there was a lot of stuff here before, and so I need to just readjust and make sure the drip irrigation's all in the right spot and flat before I plant any more tomato plants. So just do that now. We've actually got dahlias coming up as well, so they're going to be growing with tomatoes, which I think will look quite pretty. And then underneath the tomatoes I'm going to be planting some basil that did really well when we had tomatoes last year. So I've got little basil tiny seedlings, so I'll plant them in a few weeks time once there's a bit more shade for them.
We grew potatoes along this middle bed over winter and then mulched over with wood shavings to protect the soil before we planted our summer crops. Here I am planting it out with our cucumber seedlings, again planting at each dripper and putting a small handful of worm castings with each planting. These beetroots self-seeded at the start of spring, and I am now clearing out the larger ones so that the smaller ones can continue to grow. Eventually I will replace with some more beetroot seedlings, as we find we can grow beets year round in our garden. This year we've decided to make a trellis for our cucumbers out of this old bit of ring lock fencing that we had lying around unused on the farm.
Look at that, that tendril's busted. She broke.
Go back this way.
That should be enough for it to find the wire
there
and grow around it.
Yeah. This one's long. Oh yeah, this one's got a tendril.
It just needs that. It just needs some touching.
Yeah, here we go.
Could use some too. A little bit of sunlight.
So we had a wonderful surprise 3 days ago. This hen, one of our favourites, one of our original hens, she's really beautiful. We think she's got perhaps a little bit of bantam in her. She's supposed to be purebred Australorp, but maybe she's a Australorp bantam cross. She just popped out of nowhere, literally, with 9 healthy chicks from lots of different mothers by the looks of it. So we've got a dark grey, 4 blacks, some light greys, a whitish looking one, and then a kind of jungly coloured one. So really exciting to just find her one day with all these little chicks all around her, snuggling in. Yes, now we have a lot of chicks running around the property. We actually thought that she might have been taken by a fox along with another bird, which is the chick with the little jungly colours. That's her offspring. She came to us from Troy's sister's mother-in-law's place. She just couldn't look after them anymore. So her hen was missing too. So we thought, oh no, these 2 hens, they've been going a little bit into the bush but not very far, just at the edge of the property, and we thought, oh, maybe a fox has come and picked them off. But she appeared yesterday, same thing, 8 little chicks. So now it's quite ridiculous. We've got tons of little baby chicks running around. There seems to not be any foxes on the block anymore. Well, at the moment, I don't want to jinx us. Perhaps Zippy's doing a good job of keeping them away. We're not really sure. So we don't seem to have any fox pressure. We've just got a ton of hens being mums right now. Probably at least 13 of our 17 hens or 18 hens are mums at the moment. So the egg production has gone right down. I suspect they've been laying in spots that I don't know about, because that's what happened with this hen and with that other hen. So they're both fantastic mothers, so they definitely get to stay on the farm a bit longer. We will be doing a chicken cull, that's for sure. The grey hens are just not very good mothers and they're getting on a bit, so they're probably past their peak laying potential. So we'll probably cull a lot of the older grey hens, and then obviously there'll be a lot of roosters coming up through from these chicks. Could be some potential there for us to sell some of the pullet hens, the Australorp hens, as pullets. Yeah, people really like Australorp hens. They're really like lovely, calm temperament. So I can see some people in town maybe wanting a few chickens for their household. They might be interested in buying some of them off us, because we're just going to have so many. I think it'll be too many for us to really sustain. I mean, because they're free range, the manure load gets pretty bad up around the house and things like that. We had such a rough start in spring. I didn't know if we were going to have any babies this year. Now we've just got so many, at least 30 babies. So yeah, really exciting. Hopefully they will make it. There hasn't seemed to be as much hawk pressure right now as there was at the start of summer and the end of spring. So these hens are doing really well with their little babies, and fingers crossed they all make it. A really fantastic summer so far. There's been some extremely hot days, some 40-degree days, but in between it all we've had days like this where it's a bit humid, but the weather is only like low to hot mid-20s, so we're getting a nice break. And we've actually had a lot of rain this January. We've probably had 10 mil so far. So first summer on the homestead where we've actually had rain in summer, so that's been a nice welcome relief. The garden's looking really good. That corn that I planted in December, it's already massive. Things are really booming fast, and I'm looking forward to all the harvests we're going to have at the very end of summer and start of autumn, especially with the tomatoes as well, eggplants, capsicums, all these things. It's all going to be booming, and we're going to be very busy people in March. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed this summer update, and we'll see you at the next one.